Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican gubernatorial nominee, the man trying to unseat Democratic Governor Phil Murphy, has made his selection for his running mate. And it's a well-known name in New Jersey. Here's my interview with former state senator, now Republican Lieutenant Governor nominee, Diane Allen. Senator, thanks so much for joining us today, and congratulations. I was surprised by the announcement. I think it took a lot of people by surprise. How long were they talking to you, and what was it like when you got the call from Jack Ciattarelli?
You know, I'd been working with Jack on this campaign for over a year and a half, but I had always made it clear that I was working on the campaign, had no interest in anything beyond that. So it was about a couple of weeks before he actually announced who his lieutenant governor candidate was going to be that he called me and said, look, I want you to reconsider what you've been saying. I want you to run with me. And he laid out some things. And my husband and I had really been through a time where we were unhappy with how the state was being run, particularly trying to get something through motor vehicles. I mean, try to talk to a human, you cannot, or try to find out how you can get your unemployment. I've had a lot of people call me because they weren't able to get their checks. It was ridiculous. And I mean, we just were really feeling like the state was falling apart. And it turns out that there is a report coming out of the University of Chicago that says that, yeah, we're number 50 out of 50 in terms of states where you can actually contact a human to have somebody handle your problems. So that kind of thing really made me realize if I can help make Jack governor and become his lieutenant, then I was going to do it, because this state is broken and New Jersey needs to be fixed, and Jack and I can do it.
You know, the lieutenant governor position is new, fairly new to New Jersey, and it really hasn't been well defined. Has Jack talked to you about what your role would be, what you would be doing as lieutenant governor?
Well, he's done something that no one has done in the past as a gubernatorial candidate, and he's asked me to be his partner in this. Now, obviously, he would be the governor and he would be making the decisions and he would be leading the state, but he wants me to play a very major role in those determinations. We sit and talk about issues, and we've done this for some time, and we don't always agree on things, but it's okay. We still sit and we can talk about them civilly and come to some conclusion perhaps down the line. But he's asked for my input as we move forward, and I really like that. What the lieutenant governor does is run one of the departments and become one of the cabinet members. And what my portfolio might be is something that we're discussing. We'll see how that ends up. That's really Jack's call.
What would you like it to be?
Go ahead.
What would you like it to be?
Well, I really like education, but I also really want to see the elections run correctly. So that would be Secretary of State. There are a lot of things. I want to see business handled well. I'd like to see a Department of Commerce come back. There are a lot of things that I'm interested in. That's my problem. I like too many things. I will do whatever Jack needs me to do. I want to make sure that I can help make New Jersey better.
As I said, the announcement was a surprise for a couple of reasons. And one of those reasons was, this is a quote from you when you decided you were not going to run again in 2017 and you were going to retire. You said, I have a number of medical concerns that sometimes make it difficult for me to put in the same time and effort I have been able to expend in the past. Are those medical concerns no longer an issue?
One of them is COPD, and I have been dealing with that and continue to deal with that, but it is not a problem in my everyday life. I can live with that. I can live with a number of other things. I'm supposed to have a knee replacement next month. Well, that's been put off. But overall, my health is good. And I did talk with all my doctors before I said yes.
Better than it was in 2017? Because in 2017...
I would say it is, yes, absolutely.
Well, then let's move on. The other thing I think that was a surprise was that you were from South Jersey. And if Jack Ciattarelli, at least when you talk to the political analysts, say if Jack Ciattarelli is going to win, he has to do better in North Jersey, that's his problem. Do you have a North Jersey strategy, or do you think that's just not as important?
Oh, I think North Jersey is extremely important. More votes in North Jersey than South Jersey. But the truth of the matter is that many people who are in office ignore South Jersey. I don't think the governor's been down there very often, and I hear that from people all the time. Jack has been down there a lot. And I, of course, have a lot of relationships in South Jersey. We want to make sure that we cover the entire state, not just North Jersey, which again is what has been done primarily in the past.
When you retired from the Senate, Governor Murphy had some very nice things to say about you. Several Democrats had nice things to say about you. And as a matter of fact, the Jack Ciattarelli campaign, which has now been kind of renamed the Jack and Diane campaign in a tribute to John Cougar Mellencamp, has released all the things Democrats have been saying. Now you're in a position where you're going to have to, it sounds like, attack the Murphy administration, as you've been doing a little bit now, especially when it comes to equality, which was a big issue for you. When you made your announcement, you came right out of the gate, going after the Katie Brennan issue, and going after the women's soccer team, and going after the women's prison. Is that going to continue? Is that going to be your main line of attack during the campaign?
Well, I think it's one of the things that I'm particularly concerned about, and I will be talking about it. There are many other areas that I think need to be fixed as well. But this is really a matter of leadership with the present governor. He doesn't want to deal with issues that are unpleasant for him. And so when Katie Brennan came to him and said, there's a rapist on our staff, and she alleged that this fellow raped her and so on, she just wasn't heard by him. He just put his head in the sand. He didn't want to deal with it. He walked away from it. And long time passes, and he said, oh, well, I guess that the system failed her. No, it was the governor that failed her. And then he gave the man, the alleged rapist, a job, a cushy job within the administration. And he's done those sorts of things over and over again. Julie Roginski, you might know or might have heard of. She's a really remarkable woman, a very strong Democrat. She was involved in his campaign, and she saw a lot of sexual harassment and bullying and things going on. She said it was a toxic work environment. And she went right to him and said, look, you need to know this. This is a problem. It needs to be fixed. The way he fixed it was he fired Julie. He doesn't like to have any confrontations, any problems. If there's something, he just walks away. He turns away. He doesn't want to deal with it. And of course, the Edna Man prison is the biggest thing, and one of my biggest concerns. Women there were being raped, were being beaten. I mean, some violent things were going on in this prison for a long period of time. And the governor and the administration knew about it for a very long time. And they did nothing. Days, weeks, months passed, and nothing was done until finally the federal government came out and said, you must do something. This is terrible. A report came out, and finally something got done. But a group from the legislature for a long time asked him to get rid of the head of that area so that we could get somebody in there who actually would care about what was going on and who would oversee and make sure that things were done properly. I want to say that I wouldn't want that job that the prison guards have. It's a very tough job, and most of them are very good at it and are very competent. But because there was no oversight, there was a rogue group who just started taking advantage of those women who were in prison. And the sad thing is, something came out just this week that it still hasn't been fixed. The federal government has just signed a consent decree with New Jersey, and it came out that it's still not good. They've got to do something. So I'm really afraid that this governor is not taking women seriously. He doesn't know how to deal with us. He would rather not have to deal with us. He doesn't want to, he doesn't really care what goes on. And we need somebody in there who does. I will tell you that Jack Ciattarelli is somebody who really is going to make a difference. He's going to treat people well. And when problems come up, he's going to look for the right solution, and then he's going to act. That's something that hasn't happened with this governor. He just kind of goes back and forth. He isn't sure, puts it off, says he's going to do something, and then he doesn't. Jack is a leader.
I'm sorry. One last thing that I wanted to ask you about, and something that really struck me when you were talking about why you were leaving. You said that when you first got into politics, it was easy to work across the aisle. It wasn't as angry, it wasn't as divisive as it is now. And here you are now back in politics. Do you now feel like you have to be part of that you have to play that game because that's the way you have to get ahead now?
Well, I think once we start working on policy, I would hope that in a Ciattarelli Allen going forward together, we would see us working on both sides of the aisle. I know people, Republican and Democrat in the Senate very well. He knows people, Republican and Democrat in the Assembly very well. We will be able to do that. We will be able to talk with both sides. We will be able to get policy through, I believe, in ways that does not happen now. So, no, I would see that we would continue to work together.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time. Republican candidate for Lieutenant Governor Diane Allen. Still to come on Jersey Matters, a brand new idea to bring more federal dollars back to New Jersey. That's next.